Another golfing superstar had arrived in Dubai, and they had quite an experience in store for him. Second in last year's race to Dubai, this young man has a precocious talent, and at the age of 20 seems to have the world at his feet. Rory McIlroy was about to literally have the world at his feet.
I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest. I've never been up in a hot air balloon before, but there's a first time for everything. So everyone's reassured me that once we're up in the air, it'll be good. So hopefully, I'm just not too scared to get on.
McIlroy was in the hands of an expert pilot, albeit one more used to flying above the desert.
It's fairly simple. The desert is very easy. You can fly almost blindfolded, almost. While here, you fly in a built-up area. To the west-northwest, there is of course the Gulf, it's water, and you have to be more careful with your flight planning. And in the desert, you normally get calmer conditions, not so much wind. Tonight is perfect. We got very lucky. God is on our side.
With conditions being so perfect, McIlroy got over his nerves and put himself in the basket. It was time to enjoy a smooth takeoff. You could be forgiven for thinking Rory McIlroy has had God on his side with his golf. When he's on the courses of the world, he's at home. But up here, hundreds of feet above the Dubai skyline, he was out of his comfort zone. It was quite an experience, a far cry from where he was brought up in Hollywood, Northern Ireland. As a fan of the movies, it was more akin to Hollywood in California, as he travelled James Bond style to see the sights of Dubai.
I was a little apprehensive whenever Mary told me that we're going to go up in a hot air balloon. But once you're up here, it's incredible.
It's pretty sensational.
I mean, you can see the pan, the world, but it's how quiet is it?
It was on one of the golf courses many hundreds of feet below him that the then 19-year-old McIlroy had claimed his maiden professional win in the 2009 Dubai Desert Classic. It was the win that put him on the map. But it was a nerve-wracking finish. At the 72nd hole, McIlroy had a one-shot advantage over playing partner Justin Rose. He was in good position on the fairway, but he miscued and found the sand.
All I had to do was get it out of the bunker, and it was feed down that hill to the hole. The only thing I had to guard against was actually hitting it too hard. There was a bit of a runoff just past the pin into the water, so I just had to make sure I left it short of the hole and then give myself a putt for the win. And luckily I did that. I was very relieved when I seen that little 3-footer go in to win, because it felt for me as if it was a long time coming.
It was the opening chapter in a memorable year for McIlroy and earned him an invitation to his first major. He finished 20th at the US Masters, and then he tied for 10th at the US Open before finishing in a tie for 3rd in the US PGA. By the time McIlroy returned to the Gulf in the autumn, he was in contention to win the inaugural Race to Dubai.
I set myself a target of about 15 to 18 under at the start of the week, and I got to 15 under, and I was still 8 shots short, I think. So Lee played really well that week, and probably played the best golf he's ever played. And he sort of had to do that to beat me, which I took a lot of positives from. And it was still last year, even though that was a little bit of a sort of sour end of the year, I still took a lot of positives from it. Contended in majors and contended in the race to Dubai, and got myself into the top 10 in the world. So it wasn't all bad.
McIlroy got 2010 off to a good start by finishing 3rd in the Abu Dhabi Golf Championship. But he's taken the decision to play less on the European Tour this year and more in America. There has been some disappointment in Europe about that, but he's got a good explanation.
To try and get myself further up in the world rankings, I suppose. And when you play with better players, you learn a lot from it, and that was basically my thinking behind it. If I can play with better players week in, week out, I'll learn a lot from it, and hopefully become a better player myself.
If Rory had been nervous of the balloon's liftoff, he had greater cause to be nervous of its landing. Getting a balloon back onto ground is an imprecise art, and as it descended, he could see the border with neighbouring Oman getting closer and closer. This this was to be nothing like landing a 40-foot putt or a 70-yard bump and run at St Andrews. It was a bit more hairy than that. Once on the ground, it was time for a startled-looking Rory to gather his thoughts.
It was incredible. You know, it's a pretty special feeling whenever you're up there just sort of floating. You know, and you could see for miles. It was very, very cool. But you know, I'm happy to be back on hard ground.
We at Golfing World will be watching closely as the career of Rory McIlroy truly takes off in America and throughout the world.